King Von was a talented young Chicago rapper with a bright future, but things went downhill from there, and he finally became a serial murderer and a criminal. The account of King Von's transition is fascinating and troubling, because it sheds insight into the causes of violent and destructive behavior. This video will go into King Von's early life, the circumstances that precipitated his fall into criminality, and the fallout from his illegal activities. We believe that by dissecting this difficult case, we will learn more about the sociological and psychological reasons that give rise to serial murderers. Rapper King Von, born Davon Daquan Bennett, rose to fame in Chicago for both his music and his criminal exploits. He had a reputation for being a gang member who sold drugs and committed other crimes, and for the violent content of his songs. It is not known, however, what exactly turned King Von become a serial murderer. It has been theorized that King Von's upbringing in a hostile environment significantly influenced his character and actions as an adult. Others have speculated that his predisposition for criminal behavior might be traced back to his participation in gang activity and drug peddling. King Von's acts, for whatever motive, were horrible and undoubtedly caused much suffering to the loved ones of his victims. Davon Bennett, also known as King Von, entered the world on Chicago's South Side on August 9, 1994. King Von's early life in the infamous O Block area exposed him to crime and violence. His mother was responsible for him and his siblings, while his father was in jail for most of his life. King Von was engaged in criminal behavior and drug dealings as a youth. He abandoned his high school studies for a career in crime. King Von had a difficult childhood, but he was musically talented, so he started rapping as an outlet. King Von had dreams of becoming a famous musician, but he was trapped in a world of violence. During a fight with rival gang members in 2014, he suffered several gunshot wounds. King Von somehow made it through the assault unscathed, and he went on to become one of Chicago's most renowned serial murderers. The traumatic and violent childhood of King Von had helped shape him into the serial murderer he became. King Von was exposed to violence and gang activities at a young age due to his upbringing on Chicago's renowned South Side. His perspective was formed by the constant presence of drugs, firearms, and criminal activity in his environment. King Von's involvement with gangs grew as he matured. He got into the drug trade and started keeping firearms on him at all times. He became a serial murderer because of the destructive road he started down as a result of this way of life. The harsh realities of life on the streets hardened him to the point that he no longer recoiled from physical conflict. It was not a shock that King Von turned into a serial murderer. His inability to feel empathy for the pain of others was the consequence of years of seeing violent and traumatic events. His deeds were unquestionably horrible, but if we want to avoid more catastrophes of this kind, we must first learn what drove him down this road. There were other instances of criminal behavior on the part of King Von. His criminal activities included both drug selling and murder. Malcolm Stuckey's murder was one of the most high-profile incidents he was ever linked to. It has been reported that King Von and his cohorts fought Malcolm Stuckey at a nightclub. As the situation gradually deteriorated, King Von drew his revolver and shot Stuckey many times. The victim was instantly killed, and King Von ran away. The victims and their families suffered greatly as a result of King Von's atrocities. Pain, anguish, and grief have been left in his wake, and they will never be forgotten because of what he did. King Von's loved ones had to deal with the consequences of his acts, while his victims' families had to pick up the pieces of their broken lives. King Von's actions had repercussions not just on the human level, but also in the courtroom. He has a long history of arrests for anything from theft to murder. Some of his acts went unpunished, but he paid the ultimate pay for them when he was shot and died in November 2020. Although King Von's atrocities left a devastating legacy, they should serve as a reminder of the need to address social problems including poverty, violence, and mental health. We may help avoid more tragedies like those King Von caused by working together to solve these fundamental concerns. There is a good possibility that you have heard of King Von if you are acquainted with the kind of music known as Chicago drill. In a short amount of time, he has established himself as one of the most prominent rappers in the industry, despite the fact that he is also notorious for being a serial murderer. Watching a documentary that follows the subject's life throughout the course of their career as a serial killer is an excellent approach to getting a better understanding of the factors that may have led to the person's decision to commit murder in a pattern. Trap in 2012, ller Ross published his documentary on YouTube under the title King Von, Rap's First Serial Killer. He subsequently removed the video from YouTube, but it is currently available again, although behind a paywall. King Von was known as rap's first serial killer. Ross establishes that Von is a serial killer by linking him to at least 10 gang killings by using social media postings and police records as evidence. Before it was taken down from YouTube, this documentary had a sizable audience that included the rapper's family, friends, and followers of his music. In addition, several people felt the material to be objectionable. Ross had revised his documentary and made some changes to the way he organizes it, one of which is the inclusion of a new segment in which he discusses the characteristics that define a serial murderer. This revised version has attracted a significant amount of attention, with daily views averaging over 600,000. King Von is quickly being recognized as one of the most promising young rap artists in Chicago. Lil Durk took notice of him due to the fluidity of his narrative technique, and they swiftly signed him to the Only the Family label. At an early stage in his professional life, he found himself embroiled in legal conflicts with the local police department and the Black Disciples, the gang he was a member of at the time. In addition to this, he was responsible for a number of burglaries, for which he eventually entered a guilty plea in order to avoid doing any jail time. The fact that he is a rapper, however, implies that he is not immune to the difficulties of life. This explains why his blunders had such a significant effect. Von had barely begun his career as a rapper when he moved to Atlanta in search of bigger chances in the local rap culture and stronger legal help. He did this in order to leave his Chicago origins and legal difficulties in the past. Tragically, within a few months, he was shot outside of a nightclub in Atlanta, which left a massive vacuum in the rap scene and an anticipated loss of ability. Regardless of how tragic this story may be, it serves as a reminder that we shouldn't get rid of individuals just because they have skills. Instead, we need to educate young children that there are other options than participating in street violence, and we should encourage them to pursue their interests and give back to the communities in which they live. Von spent his infancy on the south side of Chicago, where he was exposed to the violence and lawlessness that permeated both his community and the Black Disciples, the gang he was a member of as a youngster. Von, on the other hand, found solace in music. Von's unique style was shaped by the drilling boom that hit Chicago in the early 2010s. He drew inspiration from artists like G Herbo, Chief Keef, and Lil Durk to craft a sound that was unnervingly raw yet genuinely honest. Later on, he would go to Atlanta, where he would meet, become friends with, and eventually become label mates with Lil Durk, who was also signed to Only the Family. King Von, whose true name was Davon Daquan Bennett, unfortunately went unexpectedly at the age of 26 in Atlanta on November 6, 2020, putting an untimely end to one of hip-hop's most promising careers. Trey Savage on June 19, FBG Duck on August 4, and now King Von are the three Atlanta rappers who have died within the last 4 months. This young rapper and MC were well known for the compelling stories he told. Although some of his songs had relaxing and warmer tones, his approach often consisted of drumming that could pummel, while evoking the origins of dance music as dancing music. Some of his songs had calming and warmer tones. His songs were well appreciated by listeners, notably Crazy Story, which has amassed millions of views on YouTube and has been certified as gold. That's all for today's video, guys. If you like our content, feel free to subscribe to the channel, share, and hit the notification bell to get the latest news from us. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.